Synonymous with the struggle for democracy and justice. But for one Norwegian, Raila's story goes beyond politics to a profound personal relationship. He was the stranger who opened his home to a fugitive in exile and found in him a quiet, humble friend who would one day become one of Africa's most influential statesmen. Our reporter Gloria Milemu has the story of that unlikely friendship born in secrecy and now remembered in sorrow.
The world knew him as a freedom fighter, a reformist, a man who challenged autocracy and endured detention in the pursuit of a democratic Kenya. But few knew what became of Raila Odinga when he slipped out of the country in the early 1990s, fleeing the grip of the government. Among the few who did was a young Norwegian, Rune Engström, who was about to play a quiet but crucial role.
I first came to Kenya in 31st of December 1988. Before that, I had met a Kenyan girl in Oslo. I was actually just out and I met two Kenyans. And one was Josephine Simu, my wife-to-be, and the other one was Ruth Odinga. They were students together. And we later got married, and Ruth became the godmother to my son Thomas Politia. And we were friends and hanging out. And I had no clue who Odinga was. For me, she was just Ruth, another Kenyan.
Through those simple social circles, fate quietly connected him to Kenya's most famous political family. But when he later traveled to Kenya, he saw the oppression that defined the late 1980s, which included arrests, censorship, and fear. In the middle of the turmoil, a secret request reached him through Ruth Odinga.
It was early 1991 when Ruth came to me and asked if I could assist because we had a house in Oslo that Raila was planning to leave Kenya. And it was very secret, so very few people knew about it. So when he came to Norway, he got passports from the Norwegian embassy in Kampala. And he left Kenya in a canoe across Lake Victoria in heavy rain. And these details I didn't know at that time because a lot of this came to light in, I think it was December, close to 2 years ago.
Raila's escape from Kenya was perilous as it was clandestine. Once he arrived in Oslo, Rune offered him a place to stay, a quiet refuge far from the reach of the government then.
When they came to Norway, we received them, and after only a few days, of course, the Norwegian government stepped in because then it was public knowledge that he was in Norway. So then he got accommodation from the government and started meeting up with world leaders and talking about democracy in Kenya.
As he continued to meet global leaders and human rights activists and advocating for democracy in Kenya, in private, his friends saw a rare side of him.
Raila, as a person, was not the one you saw on TV and in public gatherings. He was a very quiet, humble family man. And when you spoke with him in private, you would not recognize him. You would not know that it's the same person.
Even in exile, Raila refused to live like a politician. To those around him, he was just Raila, a friend with time for everyone. As other leaders arrived with bodyguards and fanfare, Raila walked the streets of Oslo like any ordinary man. He preferred real conversations over ceremonies, choosing humility over protocol.
He wanted to meet the ordinary Kenyans, know about their life in Norway, their Norwegian friends, and he was never a man of protocol. He just wanted to meet ordinary people, more than these leaders, whatever. That was for him kind of business and his public service. But he always had time to sit down and listen to Kenyans and friends of Kenya.
Years later, their paths crossed again. By then, Roon had launched a company called Destinations Africa, promoting travel within the continent, a project that Raila encouraged and often discussed. They spent hours talking, but it wasn't all nostalgia. In their conversations, Raila often returned to one theme: the future of Africa, and how Africans could build bridges within their own continent.
So the possibilities are endless. And this is also what Raila was talking about. Pan-Africanism, open borders, open skies, let Africans travel, do business in Africa.
Through that friendship, Roon met others inspired by African leaders, including the former Robben Island prison guard who became Nelson Mandela's close friend. Raila was fascinated by the story and wanted to meet him.
It was postponed. I don't remember if Raila didn't have time or Christo didn't have time. So yeah, we'll do it later. And this is just a good example that you never know how long you have. So important things, if it comes to friends or family or anything, do it while it's still time. Because now it's too late. We kind of, we can do it later. And now it's too late. That meeting will never happen.
As news of Raila's death spreads, that thought weighs heavily on him. The unfinished conversations, the friendship now sealed by memory.
And then I was asked to
From the snow-covered streets of Oslo to the dusty roads of Kisumu, the two men's friendship endured for more than 3 decades, rooted in shared humanity. For Roon, Raila's legacy is about connection, about how one man's fight for freedom reached across continents. Now, as Kenya prepares for his burial tomorrow, friends across the world are quietly reflecting on the man behind the movement, the one who, even in exile, never stopped being a servant of the people. Gloria Milimu, KTN.
Thank you, Gloria. And Ruda speaks of a man who was a family man, Raila, who was a friend to many. A man who enjoyed real conversations. You know, when he was walking, whenever he met, he was never a politician. He just loved to have real conversations, walk in the streets of Norway as his colleagues from the political class would come with their bodyguards. Raila would want to just stroll and enjoy his time. Speaks of a man who was down to earth and just wanted to